Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Nathan, the founder and CEO of Klas, and here with me is James Gabriel, um, one of the smartest guys I know today, running a data science academy. So yeah, this is the very first episode of the Klas Podcast. Here we're going to be sharing light on some of the most interesting and also the most successful academies that we have seen, rising in this upskilling economy. And we would learn how they got here, what they did to get where they are today, and what they see the future of not just the upskilling economy but their own academies. So yeah, James is up. Is the mic is in your court right now. You could introduce yourself.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you for the opportunity to come on here to speak. My name is James Gabriel, and I'm a data analyst. Currently, I work as a data analyst tutor where I teach people all the skills they need to be successful data analysts. So, how I got into teaching?
Yes.
Teaching has been like a lifelong journey for me. I can remember my very first teaching encounter was immediately after secondary school. During the long break, I had a family friend who has a school. So after every long break, I just go to his place and then I teach the students mathematics and physics and those kinds of subjects. That was my very first encounter with teaching, and I felt I did a good job. I don't know if it was because I taught well, maybe the students liked the way I taught, but they always wanted me to come back. And I did not really give much thought to it. I just felt, oh, I did a good job, and then that was it. Uh, then in the university, we had a course where we were required to, teach. So it was like a mini teaching practice. So we're sent to like secondary schools to teach, and I was sent to one secondary school around, and I taught computer science. So I taught the students how to use the computer, do simple tasks on the computer. I think that's where my the passion grew, and over time, I felt I just built on it. So after the university, the NYSC service, where you are mandated to go to secondary schools and teach, or different agencies like that. Um, I was initially posted to secondary school, but then I had to switch because of the distance. So professionally, how I've been teaching. Um, late last year, I got a job at Udacity as a data analyst instructor, a session lead actually. So I had to teach professionals all around the world about data analytics. And the reviews I got made it seem like I actually knew what I was doing. So I had to build on it. I took some courses on teaching, to like better myself and provide more value. And from then, it's been forward ever. I've not looked back. I think teaching is my niche, and I'm going to try as much as possible to, be the best at what I do. So that is how I got into teaching.
Wow. So a natural born teacher right here. um,
Uh, I would say that, yeah, I guess.
wow. Wow. And what has been kind of like the greatest challenges you've faced, in teaching? There's always a stigma of like teaching is hard, that you need to kind of get a lot of things right, to be a great educator, no matter what niche that you're kind of working at. What has been your the greatest challenges you've faced teaching, and how did you really overcome them?
Okay, if I were to pinpoint one challenge, I think it would be learning patience. So you have to build a lot of patience while teaching. I think it's something I've been able to build over the years. Because, when you try to teach a concept to someone, there's a term for it, but I've forgotten the term now. But you expect the person to understand what you're explaining. Meanwhile, the reason it's so clear to you is because you already know what it is, but it's not the same way with the person. For instance, you're teaching someone to swim, just like flap your legs. I mean, it's just as easy as flapping your legs. But the person's brain is not coordinating how to flap the legs. They're just praying for survival. But it seems so easy to you. So with time, you might tend to overlook how it's a new concept to your students and expect them to understand at the first try. So teaching teaches you patience. I've learned to be very patient. Sometimes I have to go over a concept two, three, four, 5 times till the student understands. I tackle it this way and I realize that this does not work. I have to come back. Okay, how about I tackle it this way? And then I try another method until the student actually gets it. So being impatient has been like the biggest challenge, but I believe over the years I've been able to like develop my patience and understand that most times when you explain a concept to a student, they might not get it at the very first time or even the third time. But you need to actually revisit your drawing board and see how you can better communicate it to the student for them to understand. So patience has been like starting out, it was like my greatest challenge because I didn't see how I could explain something to you 3 times and you still do not get it. But over time, I realized that people learn differently. Some people catch on slowly. Some people, at one instance, they grab it. So I've learned to be very patient and take it as many times as possible, for as long as the student understands. So I think my greatest challenge starting out was impatience, but I don't think it's a challenge anymore.
Yeah, this is that is a really great point, and something we have also noticed a lot even at class, with our academies. A lot of the academies here um are kind of hammering at a certain topic for weeks or even some for months, teaching the same thing over and over again. Yeah, really great points. So I think it's time we move on now to the successes. Let's talk about I don't know what numbers you can share or what achievements you can share from your academy since you launched your academy. What have been some of the great traction that you have achieved with your academy numbers, whether it's in terms of earnings range that your academy does like annually, or the number of students you've trained and all that.
Okay. Um, the number of students I've trained. So starting out teaching, I started with Udacity, and I was a session lead, but I handled about 4 sessions, and there were about 53 students per session. So roughly 200 students that I taught at Udacity at the very first cohort. But since starting out my own thing, I believe I've taught over 3,000, 4,000 students. Um, Most of them are free, some of them are paid. And if you're asking my greatest achievement when it comes to teaching, I believe it's basically me realizing that I'm making an impact on a student's life. So in one of my boot camps, I actually had a student who got a job, a data analytics job during the boot camp, and apparently the question they were asked was the questions we just treated on SQL. So it was really easy for the student to actually scale through the interview. Even one got another job on the last day of the boot camp. And after the boot camp, a couple of other people have reached out to say, oh, they got a job and this was really helpful. The way I explained this. So I believe my greatest achievement is seeing my students actually um, use what I've taught them to actually secure themselves really good employment. Has been my greatest achievement. As for the number of students, I've actually trained a whole lot, about 3,000 if I'm counting correctly, my more or less. So yeah,
Wow,
that's
wow,
it.
that's a lot. That's like 100 classrooms, in total. If we're looking at the average number of students to classroom as 30 or 32 or 33.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Okay, that's great. I guess the next thing now we're going to go into now is kind of like, what do you hope, like, where do you see your academy? So a few weeks ago we started talking, you're now migrating to class now because you want to really take your academy to the next level. You want to see how you could even train even more students. You could even grow the revenue of your academy and really turn it into the full scale business. Where do you see your academy in the next 1 to 2 years? What is what are the future plans? What's the roadmap like?
All right. So I've been privileged to take courses from virtually every academy out there. I've taken courses on DataCamp, DataQuest, Coursera, Udemy, any platform you can actually think about. And I've actually seen the loopholes, I've seen their strengths and their weaknesses. And because of this, I've been able to build a product that I believe caters to the weaknesses of those other platforms. So I intend that my academy will be one of the leading data academies in the world. Actually, there are two really top data academies. There's DataCamp and then there's DataQuest, but they have a lot of loopholes. For instance, DataQuest only does text lecture. They do not include video because they believe you learn by just reading. Meanwhile, that can not always work. There are some people who understand better when you have videos instead of actually reading. Data Camp, on the other hand, does video lectures. Now, they provide support in form of, asking questions and waiting for mails to be replied. But I would like to incorporate like a bootcamp type of learning. So I'm trying to incorporate both self-learning and bootcamp together. So even if you decide to not go through the live instructor-led classes and you just want to learn at your own pace, you should also have the opportunity to get support in real time. So even if you're learning at your own pace, you should have people assigned to you that you can reach out to and actually get support in real time. So my intention is that I take over the data market in the next couple of years. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but I know it's going to happen. So I'm just working towards it, and um, I'm still really taking courses on all of those different platforms, checking them out every single day to see what I can, take from all of these things to make my product the best. But the intention, if you ask me, in the next 1 to 2 years is to actually be the best out there. That's the intention. Have the best data academy out there. Most of the academies come from the US, and most times when you take courses on these platforms, you cannot relate to some of the concepts because they are foreign to you. But I think there are some terms and terminologies that if I include into this my platform, people in Africa would actually relate more with it and they would align with it. So I believe I can actually do this, and that is my intention in the next couple of years.
Wow, that is a big one.
It
um,
is.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, exactly what you're saying. There are not a lot of really great data academies, especially in this emerging part of the world. And there's a really big hole to fill here. So this is really exciting. And just a little question now that
All right.
follows up on this. What channel do you think is the best for upskilling? So, as you know, class recently became multi-channel. So now our academies are able to teach now with live classes, recorded courses, and ebooks. So basically, allowing the academies to reach students in even more ways. But um, in your own experience now running your academy for for quite a while, what channel have you seen to be the most successful, and why do you think so?
Okay, so I think my academy really aligns with what class is doing with the multi-channel thing. Like I stated, people learn differently. So some people want to be held by the hand and just be directed on what to do. So those people will learn really well in a live boot camp. Some people do not like to be rushed. They want to take things at their own pace. Maybe watch 30 minutes of video today, tomorrow watch 30 minutes of video. So they want to go at their own pace. That is where recorded sessions will come in. While some people like to read, they don't want to watch videos. Let me just read what you're teaching me. I feel I understand better. That is where the ebooks come in. So those three channels help to like cater for every kind of learner that you are. So whether you prefer to be led by the hand or at your own pace or reading, I believe it's, yeah, you have what you need. So if you're asking what I feel is the best way that learners learn, I really do not know the statistics, so I would not like to speculate. But there are a whole lot of video platforms out there, and because of their popularity, I would like to say that I think people learn better through videos. But I believe they would learn way better if, while they are watching the videos, they know that there is someone they can always reach out to and say, "Oh, I did not understand this concept. Can you explain it to me?" So even if it's not a live boot camp, even if they are going at their own pace, the ability, the for them to know that there is someone out there that they can reach out to at any point and get instant response, I feel that makes the difference. So maybe a video lecture, but with support in real time. I think that is the ultimate for me.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I fully agree. In the next few months, this invisible wall that kind of separates all these different channels. You won't be seeing life only academy or ebook only academy. Instead, we're going to be seeing academies that just kind of combine all these different channels to offer the ultimate learning experience for their students.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really exciting. And I think for the last question, thanks so much for kind of joining us for this very first episode of the Class Podcast. For the last question now, looking at the upskilling economy, millions and millions of people are looking to upskill themselves to start a career, and there just aren't enough legacy academies to train all these people. So it's up to modern academies. People like you are launching new academies to train the future workforce. Where do you think the upskilling economy is heading to? Like, what do you think is going to happen in the next few years? Just take a guess, basically. From you being in the market, and what are your tips for people looking to launch their own academy?
All right. I feel it's going to explode in the next couple of years. Like you said, there are not enough academies actually. So in Nigeria, for instance, tech is like taking the forefront. People are starting to realize that, oh, there is job satisfaction in tech, there is money in tech, there is fulfillment in tech, and people are like, if you were saying like 5, 10 years ago, things like data analytics, data science were not so popular in Nigeria. Of course, there were data analysts and there were data scientists in Nigeria, but you could not just go on Instagram, on Twitter, and see people training on data analytics and data science. Tech was not like a really major thing in Nigeria like a couple of years. But right now, I doubt if you can walk up to anybody and say, "What is data analyst?" and they'd be like, "Oh, I've never heard of the term," because it's out there. So in the next couple of years, I believe that more people would like to pivot to tech, a whole lot actually, because the world is spreading really fast, and then people are starting to put out their journey out there and the reward and the money they are making, and it's enticing a lot of people. So in the next couple of years, I feel a whole lot of people would like to pivot to tech, and there might not be enough academies to actually cater to that number of people, because ideally you should not train too many people at once, because you might not be able to cater to everybody's needs. So that is why we need like different academies, so that you can like have enough instructor to student ratio. So it's a huge market that I believe it's, if you tap into it in the next couple of years, you could be really big. uh, and I actually realized that a lot of people are tapping into it, because right now, if I go on Instagram, the number of sponsored ads I see from different academies that I did not even know existed are a whole lot. Like today alone, I think I've seen 7 academies that I've never seen before as sponsored ads, because maybe I'm actively searching. So there are a
Yeah.
whole lot of academies, and I feel there should be more. And apart from there being more academies, I feel maybe two, three, four academies can come together and provide more value. So it's not about the number of academies; it's about the value you're providing. It's not just opening a store and then calling people to come and take training. What is the content you're providing? Is it relevant
Yeah.
for the emerging market? So if people can like do some sort of partnership, bring in all their resources and tackle the problem together, I believe we would have like really great academies coming out from this part of the world and maybe taking over the world actually. So it's a really promising market. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And any final tips, for anyone looking to launch an academy, um, before we kind of call it a day?
If you're looking to launch an academy, my advice to you is just start. Don't wait for maybe to have the right cameras or to have the right venue. Don't wait for anything. Just start. Start where you are. You build as you go. When I started my boot camp, it wasn't perfect. I mean, there were a lot of reviews I had and a lot of complaints, and I tried to solve all of those in the next cohort. And I believe the past experiences from previous cohorts has made me better, and I know a lot of things that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't started. So my advice is just start. Start wherever you are, and always ask for help. Also, don't try to do everything on your own. There are different opinions from different people that you might not see. That when you ask, it might help push you forward. So start and ask for help. I think those are the two advices I would like to give to anyone that is hoping to start out.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, James. And for anyone interested in data analysis that's watching this, James will be launching a new bootcamp really soon. This month, right? This May.
Me, yes.
Yeah, this May. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, Klas would promote this new bootcamp too, and we're very excited to have him migrate his academy to Klas infrastructure and ecosystem. Yeah. Um, Thanks a lot, James, for
Thank you.
for coming on board. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me. Have a lovely day.